Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. Another program this morning, we'll be taking a look at special education and parental involvement. But I guess a lot of people also do not know what special education is all about. And this morning, we'd like to take a look at what exactly special education is, who are those that really need special education, and how can parents be totally involved in helping the children who need special education, because again, parents are the first caregivers, whether we believe it or not. Sometimes it is not about the teachers, but again, what are the parents themselves up to? We have a guest in the studio this morning. She's a special needs coordinator and an inclusive advocate. We're glad to have Esther Emmanuel join us in the studio this morning. Thank you for being here, Esther.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. So when we say special education, can you break it down? What exactly is special education, and who are those in need of special education?
Okay. Internationally, there are 4 categories of special education. We have the physically challenged, people who are physically impaired,
Okay.
probably blind or hearing impairment. Something that has to do with the limbs, the working and all. That's one category. Then we have the social, behavioral category. Those ones have probably you would see some
Maybe
behavioral,
autism,
yes,
cerebral
autistic,
palsy?
yes. Now,
Okay.
cerebral palsy could actually be in the physical,
Okay.
because you would see the manifestation,
outcome,
yes,
right.
physically. ADHD, that's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's on the behavioral, where a child or a person won't be able to stay calm or focus properly. That is not physical,
Okay.
but it also has to do with, it's a challenge. It's a need. It's an additional need that could, interfere with learning, social interaction and all,
Okay.
And then we have sensory categories. Also, autism, belongs,
also
yes,
belong
to that category. We have Tourette syndrome. Also, sometimes they have to do with, there's this uncontrollable hiccuping.
Okay.
Sometimes you're breathing, you're talking, you can control it. But for them, it doesn't come naturally.
Right.
So that's another category. And then we also have the learning disabilities. Those ones we have dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia. Those ones have learning differences where they learn differently the way we learn.
Right.
But it's really not a challenge in a way. But I think we'll get into
get
that.
there. Right. Okay, so you mentioned
So looking at what you have highlighted so far, and
Right.
of course linking it up with the Nigerian education system, do you think we are really catering for those people? Looking at the category of those that you have mentioned now,
Yes.
at our education system,
Yes.
primary, secondary, tertiary?
Yes. Well, I don't think we're there yet.
Are we making efforts?
Well, I think the private sectors are beginning to make effort, but I think our government needs to come up to speed as well, because there are more intervention and more awareness now in the private sector. When I mean private sector, I mean schools, private schools and all. But for our public schools, we haven't seen some level of I don't think there is anything going on yet.
Any visible?
It
could actually be going
yes,
on.
yes,
right.
it could, but it's not
Because I know
visible.
we have inclusive schools
Yes,
that are government-owned schools that I am aware of.
Yes,
so like you said, it could be happening, but maybe not as visible as we would have thought that it should be. So there needs to be attention.
Yes.
But now let's look at it this way. If we have these children, and we do have them,
we do.
You are a special needs coordinator. Is there a gap in the number of special needs coordinator or special need teachers as well? Because if we do not have professionals who will also identify and tutor these children in those fields or those areas, isn't that also a problem that we need to first hurdle we need to break before again we start making efforts at wanting to cater to these children?
Yes, I think that is one of the main challenges of the intervention children with special need get. We don't have enough professionals in the field. It's actually it's an uphill task to teach a child. How much more a child with additional needs. So it's not something people want to really go into, you know, so we don't have enough hands. But I know that for any teacher, in the teacher training academy, there is a curriculum for special needs, but it's not delved deeply into. So even most teachers cannot really handle what they are being taught in school. It's not enough to handle a special need child in the school. So there is need for more trainings, because this special need is on the rise now, especially the behavioral autism is really on the rise. Learning difficulties is on the rise. I wouldn't really know what's going on, but the percentage right now is, before it used to be 10 in one child, but right now statistic is showing that is 1 in 5. For every 5 children, there will be 1 so it's an increase now, but we don't have enough professional to take up those kids to teach them even in the classroom.
Okay, but are we making efforts in recruiting more people or training them? And of course, are people showing interest the way they are showing interest as well? Yes.
I think right now, yes, people are really showing interest, and really that's what we're doing to just raise that awareness. And a lot of people are coming up, you know, getting trained and going abroad, and even having some trainings done in
abroad.
School.
So they're also Japan.
Yes.
Medical doctors.
Trust me, we have more of these professional courses full-time abroad than here. I think it's only some universities in Nigeria that you know offer special need education full-time.
So what is making it attractive for them over there that we don't have here?
So I think over there they have really maybe develop system to work with these children, even in a mainstream school. Like a government school have provisions. It's something that I can call it almost normal. Like they know that there are kids like that learn differently, so they already have provisions. So even in school of study, people go there. It's something government actually, they employ them. They employ them like the way they employ teachers. They employ special needs teachers. But here, we don't have that designation yet. You understand? We just employ teachers.
Yeah, a teacher, just
Do
a
you
teacher,
understand? So it's still not a system in place. Yeah, but there it is. So that's just it.
That's one of the differences.
Yes.
So I mean, we've talked about the role of teachers here, but let's go back to the home front, because basically that is where it starts from. Because again, parents are the first point of contact, and they will be the ones to at least know that there is a problem, or there's a challenge with their children, and so whatever the teacher does, at some point the child will still come back home, and so they will need to either take it up from there or be the starter. So how important is it for parents to actually be equipped for this challenge? Because it is also huge. I say parents because I should have said mother, really.
No, please, parents.
Parents, because it has to. The father should also be involved here.
Yes,
but
yes.
ordinarily, you just hear, oh, okay, because the mothers are usually more there. In some cases, you have more fathers also, taking full responsibility. But parents generally, how important is it for them to also be equipped here to know how to deal with this challenge? Because sometimes there's also a disparity in what goes on when that child goes to school and when that child comes back home, because there has to be continuity for that child to actually be stable. So how important is it for parents to also be involved?
I would say it's very important. In fact, I always say that parents are their children's therapists. If you notice that your child is supposed to cross a milestone and there is a delay, don't keep it to yourself. And that's what's I've been advocating. I am so much into parent involvement than even what is going on in school, because they spend more hours with their parents. So most parents actually do want to keep that child. They are afraid, they are shy. But I think right now with awareness, most parents are now coming out that, oh, my child has this challenge, or what do I do? And how do I go about it? So I think we are creating that awareness now on what parents need to do, how they need to speak up, what intervention do they need to go for, what therapy do they need to do, is there any medical intervention, is there any nutritional intervention? All of those things are what we're advocating on, not only inclusion in school, but how parents also can, reinforce what is being done in school, so that it would help those, those kids to, come up to their full potentials. Yeah.
Okay, are those therapies, are they cheap? Are they available? And of course, beyond these therapies now, the attitude of the society towards these children can also create some psychological problem for the parents, and which is what will make them hide these children and of course be afraid to bring them out. So how can they navigate this path of stigma and the psychological problem that they face?
I think we are still work in progress when it comes to the stigma and how society perceives people with special needs. I think with more awareness, everyone will start being inclusive in their minds, having to know that there is something called autism, and a person can have autism and react to maybe bright light. And it's okay. It's just the way the brain, and you won't see the person like, why are you behaving this way?
Which is what we normally do.
Which is what we normally do. So I think with more awareness and with what we're doing right now, I think is also creating the awareness that there are people that, react differently. There are people that their brain are wired differently, and it's okay. I mean, we are all different. We have different strengths. We have different weaknesses. God created us differently. And so these people are also different in the way they behave. So if society can begin to see this, it helps parents to come out more and say, okay, it's fine. Confidently. And they would see that they will get the help they need to. And when it comes to therapy, well, right now in Nigeria, I won't say it is that cheap, but I would say, well, for an average parent, it's still okay. It's still okay.
What do you consider average?
You're even finding it difficult
I am, because the truth is, for instance, let me cite an example for speech therapy now. I know they charge per section, and it really doesn't come that cheap. Per section. And then a child would want to do speech therapy maybe 3 times a week or 2 times a week. And then, and that can go on for a year or 2 or even more, depending on the pace the child is progressing. So it's actually a lot on the parents, and so sometimes the parents just like, well, let me just do. So that's why even for me, I know that those things don't come cheap, but I know that parents can still learn 1 or 2 things that they can do on their own to help these kids, whilst they at least, maybe come up with, let's do therapy for a while. Let me also reinforce what I'm doing, things like that. So yeah.
So that again, from what you've just alluded to now, is also giving rise to a lot of stay-at-home moms a lot of parents who are now homeschooling their children because of the fear of stigmatization, because of the fear of the unknown. We talked about a video that trended just a few days ago that we saw online, where I don't know if you also saw that video somewhere in Ilorin, where a young father who had a child, a challenged child, was walked out of a supermarket with a child because according to the store owners, other children were crying because of that child. So again, these are some of the reasons why others will want to keep those children at home and really not want to bring them out. So how challenging really is it for a struggling family to also take time out to blend into some of these issues, because again, money right now is difficult to come by, and so the sacrifices that parents also need to go through. In terms of parents again agreeing on how best to go about it, how best do you talk to couples on their challenges when it comes to parental involvement and sacrifices to be made where needed?
Okay, so I always tell parents that your child is your child. You are the first advocate of your child. So don't let anyone keep you quiet. If you know that this is right for my child. I mean, if I have a child that, well, is on the autism spectrum and is, for instance, in the playground and is not, maybe is not being coordinated, or maybe is screaming because of one color he saw or she saw or something, it's okay.
Okay, let me quickly hold your thought, Esther.
Yes.
We need to take a break, and when we return, we will continue this conversation.
Okay.
Sincere apologies for that technical hitch. We will now go back to that conversation. And before we took that break, Esther was talking about how parents are able to make their tough decisions, because really it can be tough. So again, you were trying to take us through how you're able to convince parents on how best to take their decisions, and you were giving the example of a child perhaps with autism having some kind of irritations on the playground. So let's take it from there.
So I was saying that if my child, for instance, is on the playground and having some sensory overload, we call it sensory overload because most kids with autism spectrum, they kind of react differently to senses in the environment, the sight, what they smell. So probably there might be something going on, and people are like looking, what's going on with this child? I, being the parent, I don't care what anyone says. Is my what I want to do is, how do I help my child? So I think parents need to come up to that realization, that acceptance that this is my child, this is the reality. I am my child's advocate. Okay, so I need to be there. I know someone that right now is a grown adult, but he is on the autism spectrum. He was diagnosed with ADHD and autism, but he told me how his dad was always there for him, even when others don't believe in him, when others were like, what is going on with this child? Even teachers always like, you're lazy, you're not this, you're not that, but the dad will come with a big pile up of files of what he had read and the things that the teachers need to do, and he would go one by one into the classes and tell them about what is going on with his son, that this is it, this is the condition, and this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. I mean, that intentional parent taking up as an advocate for the child. I think that is what every parent who has, a special need child should do. Be the advocate. Be that one speaking up. Be that one person that is lecturing someone else. That ignorant people that had to chase, that man from the... You should go back and lecture them that this is not the right thing to do. This is a condition. I mean, it's just a show of ignorance, I must say. So, so I think parents need to come out confidently. Yes, yes.
But how many of such fathers or mothers do we have that will come out confidently and defend their child or children because of the stigma that they face out there?
Exactly.
You just told us now that we have shortage of speech therapists in the country. So what are we doing to have more? And some of these schools that we have, are there many there? Then what kind of incentive or subsidy can government give to also ensure that we have enough in the country?
Well, I think right now it's something the Ministry of Education should look into, because just like I said before, special need is on the rise now. And I know they are really more focused on the physically challenged. But trust me, the other aspect of special need is even more on the rise. Children are having speech delays. They're not talking at the time. Some of them are not working. Some of them have, different issues. So I think it's something the government should now look into. How do we empower more, maybe organize trainings, send some people on trainings, or maybe even start teaching school teachers on how to deal with kids with special need in the school. A child that has dyslexia will definitely have, issues with reading words. While others are reading, this child might not be able to read at the same age other children are. But that doesn't mean the child is lazy or dumb. No. The child...
Or evil.
Or even, no. The child just learns differently. Most people with dyslexia are right-brained people. We have two hemispheres of our brain, the right and the left. We learn the way we learn. We learn with our left hemisphere, where we can just see words and pick it. They learn in pictures. They don't learn in words. So the normal way we are being taught in school, we just write on the board, read. For them, it's hard for them to process words and remember. So we have to teach them differently. So there are different ways. There are other ways to teach people with dyslexia, but that accommodation needs to be there in the classroom. So, but most teachers don't know how to.
You can't even identify the problem.
Do you understand? So we need trainings. Even in the public school, we need probably government to look into training our teachers, especially the grassroots teachers, the early years. That's where we always say early intervention is key. If you can, point maybe a learning difficulty at a younger age, the intervention is faster, is quicker. You understand? So I think that's what parents need to do.
So what role does cultural biases play when it comes to issues around this? And also we have comparison. Parents also compare their children. And sometimes I have a set of twins. And I take my time to look at their personalities, and I try as much as possible not to treat them the same way, because I've realized that they're different people. And so again, how much damage do we parents also do to our children with issues around comparison and how we also speak to them? Your brother is doing this, your sister is doing this, you are not doing this. Meanwhile, you need to also realize that they don't have the same learning capacity. So what are some of the things that we parents also need to take cognizance of when dealing with our children? So two questions in one now: cultural biases and parents comparing.
Okay,
the
I think
children.
I'll start from the later.
Okay.
When it comes to comparing, right, that's where acceptance and understanding comes in. You need to understand your child. And you need to accept them for who they are.
Right.
You need to see their strengths. You need to see their weakness. Even a child that is not having any additional needs, they're quite different. Neurotypical kids are quite different from me. My two sons are quite different personality, and they came from the same bowl. So it's the same too with if a child has a special need, and you don't have to compare. You just need to understand. First of all, accept it that okay, this is a reality. This child is supposed to talk from maybe age 1 plus 2, 3, but yet at age 3, is still mumbling. What do I do? Accept it. It's a reality. So we need to accept it. Then take that child from where they are. It's also important you also talk to, their siblings and say, oh, your brother is having these challenges. We can work together to help him or to help her, to come up to speed. But I think parents need to understand and accept
the challenge.
Yes.
Right.
So by understanding and accepting, you are open. You have an open mind to what next, what should be done. How do I help
Also
this
seek
child?
help.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and then the other one, cultural biases.
Yes. Wow, that's also one of the barriers of inclusion. That's one of the barriers of intervention to special need, because trust me, I have been in the north for a while. It's even hard to, because most people just feel this is normal. A child will outgrow it. No. Your father have this one, and that's why you also have it. You
They
see
think
that
it's
like,
hereditary.
yes, the thing. Your great grandfather, they used to do this, so I can see it in you. And then when you tell them no, intervene early, they're like, no, leave the child. It will
child
grow.
will be fine.
By the time I beat, everything will remove. So many things you hear, and I know it's because of our cultural background. Of course, being in Nigeria, as a Nigerian parent, we take discipline, especially corporal discipline. It's something we always do, and then so that has interfered into the intervention the child is supposed to get. But then we feel like we can just sit back and allow the child to go. Then I also think that sometimes we allow our religious beliefs to interfere into what we need to do, the intervention we need to seek. We just feel like when we go to a prayer, I believe in God, yes, but of course God has empowered us with wisdom to know what to do. So you don't have to take a child with autism and have them do deliverance on the child over and over and over and over again, and you just feel like that is all you need to do, and not, it's just like faith without action. So it's like that. You just feel like prayer will chase the demon out of you. It's the demon that is causing you to not read very well in school. So all of those things are barriers to what parents do or accept that makes these children not have the right intervention they should have.
Okay, let me ride on your answer now, which is the religious aspect of it. I mentioned devil the other time. When you see them,
and village people.
And people will say all sort of uncomplimentary comments. Why are you like this? Are you from this part of the world? Did your forefathers offended anybody? And by doing that, you are demoralizing the child and the parents, and of course labeling them. Exactly. So child labeling now is another problem. How do we tackle that? And even some of their mates in schools, they isolate them.
Even bullying. Yes. That I've met with a lot of parents that tells me that they'll rather keep their kids at home, because I have a child that cannot express him or herself if anything happens. Maybe if someone is bullying the child, or someone is molesting, or whatever thing, my child cannot come to me and tell me because of this need. So I'd rather want to safeguard my child at home. Let me know that where my eyes can, So that is also something the society needs to, we need to really work on, where that tagging, that labeling, it's something we need to just eradicate in our society. I really don't know how to go. I guess probably this awareness needs to just keep going on and on. We don't have to keep quiet at this point. Anyone that stands and say things is against people with special need, we need to actually correct those people, because it's out of ignorance they're talking. So we just need to inform our society more on these different special needs cases that we have, and how to actually accept them and help them. I read about a rave, I don't know, like a club rave for deaf people. In that club, not here in Nigeria though, I think it's in the United Kingdom, they allowed people that have hearing needs to come into the club. You know, of course, because they have hearing needs, you can't actually hear the music. Right. But they have this plugs that they put in. So when they enter, that plugs helps them to feel the music on their skin. So they're actually enjoying. I mean, how inclusive can that be?
Right.
Do you get? So that's what we are asking for in Nigeria, where everyone, no matter the additional needs, can be accepted. And it's okay to have hearing, but I can still enjoy what every other typical person is also enjoying. Do you understand? So that's it.
All right, before we allow you go this morning, let's also talk about, we are a praying nation.
Yes.
So oftentimes we turn to God.
Which is important.
Which is important. But how do we also differentiate between believing in God and thinking that, only prayers can take away these issues without seeking for help? And what will be the role of our religious leaders in also ensuring that parents seek proper help? Because sometimes they also are culpable in these issues and, act hide under the guise of religion and not allow parents to seek for proper help. So what role would, the religious houses and leaders also play here in ensuring that, as much as we believe that, God can do his miracle, there's also the need to seek proper help?
Okay, so thank you for that question, because one of the things we do is to go around schools and around churches, mosques, and I see right now most churches are now, even like in their children departments, in the Sunday school, they have an intervention room, because they know that gathering all those children, they would have some of them that, and they are now equipping, their children teachers to be able to also work with children with special need. I know I've gone to a few churches where I see them having intervention room for kids with special need, which is really awesome. So in as much as they are in a religious environment, they also know that there is something that needs to be done, for them. So I feel like, yes, I believe in God, and I know that a lot of us do, and we pray. Anything cannot happen without God, really. I believe so much, but there is something we call faith and action. Even if you trust God that, yes, this issue with my child, God is going to take it away, you also need to seek help. It's just like saying, my child, I want you to learn 1, 2, 3. So you start praying for the child to learn 1, 2, 3, and you do not take the child to school. I mean, it's just the same like that. We can say, why are you praying for the child to learn 1, 2, 3, when you can actually take the child to school to learn the 1, 2, 3, and then you pray to God that God should give your child wisdom or something. So it's just the same way that you seek for help is not saying God is not able. It means that you are actually, following God's steps in allowing the child to, get to his or her full potential by seeking for help. So I think our religious leaders too need to be open up to creating that awareness for parents in churches, in mosques, wherever, that this is a need, and you can seek for help. It's not a bad thing to do that. Yeah.
Okay, beyond the religious aspect now, you are very passionate about what you do, about this special education and these children.
Yes.
There are some teachers as well, I've read in some places that they also bully these children. Is that true?
Heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, really. It is. I mean, how will a teacher want to bully a child? I have heard a lot of stories, and it breaks my heart, sir. It breaks my heart when I see a child struggling with reading or maybe with maths, maybe the child has dyscalculia, and a teacher does not know what dyslexia is or dyscalculia, and then you keep bullying the child, you're lazy, you just don't want to write. Why won't you want to write? Your handwriting is not just...
It's not straight.
Yes. And there is something called dysgraphia. This dysgraphia issue it has to do with written expression. So the child, it's actually a serious process for you to look at the board and remember what is written on the board
and then you write it down again.
It's a skill. Because it comes natural with us, and we feel everyone should be like that. Some people, it is a long process. So you want that child that learns differently to now learn like every other children. No,
it won't work.
It won't work.
It won't work.
So it still boils down to training our teachers. And I also
we should change the way we train our teachers.
Yes, I also think that even teachers themselves to take that initiative to train themselves. To
self-development, upskilling.
I'm telling you, self-development. Learn more. Things are changing in the educational system. We're not the way we used to be. And there are children, a lot of factors, social media, everything is in play right now. So you can't be teaching the way we are teaching in the 1980s and you still want to do the same in this 21st century. It won't work. So I feel teachers should train themselves, should know what is happening.
Right. So Esther, for you, if you had the opportunity to change one thing right now that will bring a lot of succor to children with special needs, not only in Nigeria but in Lagos, what would that thing be?
If I would change something, because there's a lot.
There's a lot, I know.
I'm trying to pick which one would be the
Which one is most important to you?
I think it's still training. Yes, I'd have to probably change our curriculum
to accommodate.
Yes, to accommodate kids that learns differently, to modify, to create more opportunities. Our curriculum is designed so much, it's so tailored to left-sided people, but we have to put a lot of Montessori strategies into our teaching. So I feel if we could change our curriculum, if we could change how we teach, even children with special needs will thrive in a mainstream school. They will be able to learn together with neurotypical children.
All right, I would have to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Esther Emmanuel, Special Needs Coordinator and Inclusive Advocate, for finding time to be with us on the program. I'm sure we'll get there sometime soon.
Yes, we will.
All right, thank you so much for watching this side of the table this morning. Anyway, we'll still be back on this side when we come back from this break. The conversation continues after this short break.